Hello everybody, my name is Elena. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm bringing you my March wrap-up. We're going to talk about all of the books that I read in March. It was a pretty good reading month. I mean, I did feel kind of slumpy, which you will see, because I read most of the books this month, like, on my Kindle or as an audiobook. Like, I didn't touch a physical copy for so long because I just was feeling really slumpy. I also didn't get through a lot of my physical TBR, which I'm kind of disappointed by. But also, again, I was giving myself a bit of leeway so I could not get into a reading slump, and I think I'm conquering it quite well in my opinion. So the overall stats are I read 17 books, 8 of those were manga, the rest were just like normal books, and one of them I will not be talking about for privacy reasons. The average rating for this month is 4.28, so it wasn't too bad. It wasn't. I just was feeling kind of slumpy, and I was reading good books, but I didn't fully enjoy them. Like, I think you'll see that throughout this wrap-up. Like, I can barely tell you what these books are about. Like, you will see. First thing that I read was the rest of the Kaiju number 8 volumes. I said in my February wrap-up that I read all of them in February. I didn't. I actually read the first 3 volumes in February, and then from volume 4 to volume 10, I read this month. So that was a mistake on my part. I read those 7 volumes this month. If you don't know what Kaiju number 8 is, it's a kind of, if you mix in Attack on Titan and JJK into a manga series, that's what Kaiju number 8 is. And that's basically all I'm going to tell you, because honestly the best thing you can do is go in blind. But also, I've talked about this series so much on my channel, I feel like a broken record, so I won't bore you with the details. You can look them up yourself, but it's a really fun, really action-packed, fast-paced manga, and I feel like if you're in a reading slump, it would actually be really good for you, because again, it's really fast-paced, it's funny, you're gonna immediately really like the characters, and there's a fun plot going on, and there is a very small subplot of romance, which is always great. And then the last manga volume that I read for this month is Spy Family. I read volume 7 because I hadn't, and I actually wanted to catch up, but I only ended up reading volume 7. I don't know, I really enjoyed Spy Family when I started reading it. Like, I owned the first volume and everything, and I still like it. I just feel like I'm not that invested in it. I feel like I'm gonna read it whenever I feel like it. I really thought I would catch up on all the volumes, but I didn't. I still like it, I still enjoy it, I would still recommend it, and there is an anime of it as well. I just wasn't that invested, so I only read volume 7. The reason why I'm not saying ratings for the manga is because I don't rate manga the way I rate normal books, and I don't want to bore you with the rating system, so I just tell you if I enjoyed them or not, and I did. Yay! And then I read my first actual, like, book, and that was Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I loved this book. This book was perfect for March because it's a very spring book. Like, if you look at the cover, there's like flowers on it because the main character, Annie, owns a flower shop, and it's basically like this small town romance where she is kind of the flower girl at this like small town. Like, everyone's like, oh, Annie, like the good girl, the little sweet sunshine honey sweetie pie type of thing, and she's kind of like stuck with that label, but she wants to break out of it so bad, but she doesn't know how. So she's like, oh my god, I need dating advice. And there's this really hot bodyguard in town because he's actually the bodyguard to Annie's brother's wife. Oh my god, that's so complicated. Okay, Annie's brother has a wife that is a pop star, and that's the plot of When in Rome by Sarah Adams. You should probably read that book before you read this one, but also you really don't have to. So she needs a bodyguard. So he comes into town, and then he and Annie get along pretty well, and she's like, oh my god, I have this undeniable chemistry with this guy. Like, I can't talk to other guys the way I talk with him. So she's like, you have to teach me. And so they make this like kind of deal where he's teaching her about dating and stuff. And it was so freaking cute. It's like the good girl, bad boy kind of trope, because he's like brunette, kind of broody with like a lot of tattoos and stuff. And she's like this really sunshiny girl, but also that has a lot of merit and depth to her, which I really liked. And I liked the journey that Annie went on in this book, and the way that she confronted people at the end about whatever was going on and stuff. It was just really good. The chemistry between Annie and Will is the bodyguard with the tattoos. The chemistry between them was so good. It was so good. And also, Sarah Adams is an author that writes closed door romances, so you won't get any spice in them. You're good if you don't like reading spice. Her books are honestly perfect. I've basically read and liked every single book of her that I've picked up. I gave Practice Makes Perfect 4.5 stars. I just really enjoyed it. Everything flowed really nicely. The chemistry was there. I was laughing out loud. I liked everything about it. And then I got this urge to read something set on a ranch with cowboys and horses. And I was like, oh my god, Elsie Silver. Because obviously that's where my head goes immediately, because I love the Chestnut Springs series. I was like, oh my god, there's a Gold Rush Ranch series that came before this one. I was like, I'm gonna read that. And so I did. So I read the first book. It's called Off to the Races. That is the first book in the series. I really liked it. Listen, with the writing, I could tell that she wrote that book way before these ones. Like, I could tell in the writing, but the writing still wasn't bad. There was just parts of it where I was like, some like descriptive parts or inner monologues were so long that it kind of pulled me out of the story. But it was like it happened like once or twice. It wasn't anything crazy. I just noticed it. What I really liked was the female main character. Listen, I don't remember their names. Don't ask me for their names. I'm so bad with remembering characters' names. The main girl, I really liked her. She had a lot of wit to her. She had a big heart. She loved helping everyone. She loved helping the horses. The way that she cares about animals makes me want to scream, because yes, like that's what I want to see. So I loved that. You know what I didn't like? The male main character. Don't remember his name. I honestly couldn't stand him at some points because, oh my god, I don't even know how to explain it. Listen, you would think that I would really like him because he's grumpy and I love grumpy men in books. I couldn't stand him. I feel like I understand where he was coming from, and there was a lot of trauma there and expectations that needed to be upheld and a lot of pressure with taking care of the ranch and stuff like that. But I so deeply couldn't understand some of the decisions that he was making, and I just hated the way that he acted and the way that he talked. I couldn't. I don't know. I really don't like him. The girl, though, really liked her. I can't remember her name, but I really liked her. I gave Off to the Races 4 stars. And then immediately I went into the second book. I was really excited for the second book because if you read the Chestnut Spring series, you will know that the Eaton brothers have a sister called Violet. This book is about her. It's called A Photo Finish, and it's about Violet. I was so excited about this one because I really liked Violet in the Chestnut Spring series. I was really excited about her story, and I really like her character. I like that she's this more like sunshiny person, but also has like, I don't know, she's witty and she's confident and stuff like that, but also kind of reserved. She's like a confident introvert is how I would explain her. And then she gets this like new side of her later on throughout the book and stuff like that, and I love that. And there's also like the living together trope, what is it called, like the roommates trope, because she gets into an accident basically in the beginning of the book, and she has to live somewhere where there aren't any stairs because she can't climb the stairs. She's a jockey, by the way, I didn't mention that. So she has to live somewhere where there's not a lot of stairs, and the only place she can live is the first book guy's brother comes to live on the ranch, and he lives in that one house that doesn't have any stairs, so she has to live there. But he is so deeply traumatized from his time in the military and everything that's happened in his life. He's really grumpy, but his brand of grumpy I loved because I understood the decisions that he made. Even when they were incorrect, I could understand where he was coming from, and it made sense. So the writing definitely got better. The character development got better. I loved it, the chemistry between the two characters. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. But I loved them, and I loved the horses. The talk about the horses and everything. Listen, I'm maybe not a certified horse girl because I've never touched a horse in my entire life, but I love horses. Okay, I always have. I was always obsessed with them when I was little. Like Spirit, the movie, was my thing. So I loved the horses aspect of this, and the small town romance thing and the ranch setting. I just loved it. and I gave this one 4.5 stars. And then I read the third book. The third book is actually the male main character is actually kind of the villain that's introduced in the previous two books, because you're kind of not supposed to like him, and then you get into his head and you're like, oh my god, you're misunderstood, but like actually, not like as an excuse. And the female main character is the veterinarian that works for the ranch and the small town and stuff like that. And I loved it. Listen, I really liked this book. I definitely liked it more than Off to the Races, but a bit less than A Photo Finish. Did I even mention what this book is called? It's called The Front Runner. I really liked it. Again, I liked the chemistry. I liked the communication, actually, because I think this couple talks about their problems and expresses their feelings the best out of these three books, and I really liked that. And I don't know, I liked kind of seeing another perspective of the villain. Again, the villain in quotations, because he's not even that bad, but I just loved seeing that. And then not like a plot twist, but like the thing that happened at the end, I was like, I did not see it coming. So it was really good. I gave it 4.25 stars. And then I finally decided that I should probably read something from my physical TBR. So I decided to listen to The Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan. This is the second to last book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series. I really liked this one. I think The Titan's Curse remains my favorite, but I gave this one 4.25 stars, which is what I gave the first book. I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't really remember a lot about any of these books. And at first I thought it was because I listened to them on audiobook, but I didn't listen to the first one on audiobook. And I still don't remember a lot about it. Like, I read it physically and it's still just kind of gone from my brain. That's not a bad thing. I just enjoy them in the moment and then kind of move on. Like, I still know what happens and like bigger plot points, but like details and stuff like that, I kind of like don't remember. And now that I'm thinking about it, what was even this book about? Because I can't. Oh no, wait, I remember. I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, I liked it, I enjoyed it. It's kind of like, it's a middle grade series, so I'm not like obsessed with it, but I still liked it, and I'm really excited for the last book, actually, because that's a lot of people's favorites, which I feel like is expected. Like, you would think that the last book in a series would be your favorite because everything culminates, right? But yeah, I loved the crumbs of Percy and Annabeth that we got throughout this whole series. That was by far my favorite part because I think they are adorable. And that's really all I have to say about this. I really enjoyed it. I do recommend the audiobooks, actually. And then I was building another thing in The Sims, and whenever I do that, I need to have an audiobook on hand. So I decided to actually pick up a book that was on my physical TBR from that March TBR video that I did where I play the card game. I decided to pick up one of those books, and that was A Week to Be Wicked by Tessa Dare. I listened to it on audiobook. I love this book. This is my first ever historical romance that I've read. The characters were so funny. The setting was so entertaining. Emphasis on funny, because I listened to this on audiobook and I decided to go for a walk one morning. I started laughing out loud while I was on my walk. I was like, people are going to think that I've lost it and that I'm crazy. This was really fun. This was really good. I love Tessa Dare's writing. It was just really refreshing. There is a quote in here that absolutely ruined me. I won't be reading it out because I hate reading stuff out, but I will insert a photo if I remember while I'm editing. But yes, I really liked this book, and I gave it 4.25 stars, and I'm definitely going to be reading the other one that I have from Tessa Dare, which is actually the next one in the series. They go on this road trip. Shit happens, okay? Hits the fan. At one point, I think they're attacked by bandits. This is a really fun book. I highly recommend this. If you like romance, pick it up. It's honestly so fun. Highly recommend the audiobook. Really, really good narration. And then my F1 obsession came in full force because the season started, like the racing season started, and now I'm very excited about everything that revolves around F1. So I decided to read an F1 romance, and the first one that I picked up was Down Forest by Hannah Lily. I really enjoyed this book. I will say, I think it's a bit long. It's like 500 pages. I really liked it. It's kind of, again, like a road trip kind of plot, but it's not all of it. Basically, he's an F1 driver. So was his dad, so was his grandfather, and they were really successful. They were world champions, and he is not doing too hot, and his team is kind of always fucking him over, and people are now like speculating and talking about him, and they're like, oh, is this where the luck runs out? He won't ever live up to his father or his grandfather. And he's kind of really has this kind of bad reputation, I guess, around people and the media and stuff like that. And she is, I want to say, a media presenter, and she writes like articles and stuff like that. And she gets a lot of hate for being a woman that's in a mainly like male dominated field. And so to save his reputation, her manager sends her and him on this like road trip kind of thing, so the people can see a different side of the guy, and they connect throughout like those 500 pages. I mean, you would think they would. But it's really cute. It's really fun. I really liked the guy in this. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. It's so good. I really liked it, and the things that he was saying and doing, he's just in a world of boys. He's a gentleman. I mean, that's all I can say. And I gave Downforce 4.5 stars. And then I read another F1 romance, and I was really excited about this one. It's called Lights Out by Kayla James. I really wanted to read this book because not only is he an F1 driver, but so is she and their teammates. That is such a good plot. I don't know. I was really excited to read it. It did not disappoint me. I loved this book. I read it in a day. I read the previous book I was reading it for 11 days, and I read this one in one day. Listen, it was just so entertaining. The pacing was insanely good. I just like wanted to read more of it. And I liked the mental health talk that was going on, because I think the male main character was the one suffering with like mental health issues and stuff like that. And it was really good, and their teammates, and it was a really good team as well, and there was none of that like drama that I kind of thought would be there and I would hate. And I forgot to say, for Downforce and for this one, no third act breakup. Can I get a hallelujah? I hate third act breakups. We know this. I almost hate them as much as I hate the miscommunication trope. Usually they go hand in hand. That's why I hate them. None of that here. It was really good. Really liked it. And I would highly recommend it. I gave this one 4 stars. I think because I didn't love the characters, I didn't connect with them. That's why I gave it a bit less than you'd probably expect from me raving about it. Like, it was just really fun, but I'm not like insanely connected to the characters, so I'm giving it 4 stars. But I'm definitely recommending it. It's a really good sports romance, a really good F1 romance, and I feel like it's okay for beginners as well. Like, if you don't know a lot about F1, I think it's still fine. And it explains certain things pretty well. I did have a DNF this month, and I don't want to alarm you, so I'm gonna tell you about the reasoning and everything before I actually show you what book I'm talking about. This is a soft DNF. What that means is that I'm not DNFing it because I didn't like it or I'm never gonna read it again. I'm DNFing it because it wasn't its time. I wasn't in the mood for it. So it's basically like putting it back on my TBR for another time. And that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Listen, I'm gonna ask my friends who love this series to be kind. Listen, I don't want to read this book when I'm not in the mood for it because I know I'm gonna hate it if I do that. So honestly, it's better for both of us here. All 3 of us, actually. There's 2 friends that love this series. For all 3 of us, it's better for me to read this when I'm in the mood for it. And I don't know when that's gonna be. I did start it, okay? I got 25 pages in. But like I said, I'm kind of slumpy, and this is not the kind of book I want to be reading in a reading slump. And that is all of the books that I have to talk about. That's what I read mostly what I read in March. It was a pretty good reading month. I'm successfully avoiding the reading slump so far, so that's really good. Also, the weather is a lot nicer. The time has just changed, so the days are getting longer. I feel like so full of energy, and my exams are kind of slowing down now, so I am super excited. And yeah, Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you'd like, and I will see you in my next video.